Hey, my name is Aaron Burke and welcome to Made for More. This is a podcast that helps leaders in every area, every industry, and I love hearing from you guys. So if you have not liked and subscribed and shared this with your friends, please do it right now because this podcast hopefully is helping leaders become all that God's called them to be. And I just want you to know you're created for more. So it's more influence, more breakthrough, more leadership. So I'm trying to help you get to it. I'm so honored by the reports that I'm hearing every single month. Just this last week in church, a guy came up to me, owns a couple businesses, said, hey, I invited my friends who lived in Tampa to your church because I've been listening to your podcast. So you know who you are up in Pennsylvania. I'm glad that you've been part of this. So we're putting out new content, but today's episode is a bonus episode that we are doing to really focus on health. And I have the guru of health with us today. And her name is Temple Stewart. Temple is an incredible part of our church family, but Temple, you are a registered dietitian. Give us a little bit of your history in this world.
So I originally got interested in nutrition because I played soccer in college, and I was fascinated with the way food made me feel and perform. And so that really sparked my interest. I had no idea I would end up going into chronic disease and weight management and all of that, but that was really the fuel to my fire. And then I went to college for it and came down here to Florida to become a dietitian and took it that way. So it's been great.
All right, so before people log off the episode because they're going, wait, as a leadership podcast, you're going to talk about food. It really matters what people put into their body. There's probably a lot of science, a lot of stuff behind it, but encourage some leaders right now on why this conversation is important for them to be part of. So.
Yeah, well, food affects every single aspect from the way you sleep, your stress management, how you feel, your performance, your memory. Just in general, you can't do well, be well, or lead people well if you're not feeling good, or if you're constantly in bed, or you're constantly have to go to the doctor. So I really encourage people to make this a part of their discipline and practice, spiritual and health and all of it. So it's huge.
I think that is so important. Most of what you hear medically is about dealing with the symptoms, but not the root.
Always.
And it's so huge because the root of the fact is that we just don't have a healthy lifestyle.
Right.
And we have a massive, obviously we're in the middle of a global health pandemic, but the health pandemic is so bad because people are unhealthy.
Yeah.
So talk to us about the state of the world right now. Like, this is a big issue.
Yeah.
So kind of give us an insight on what's going on.
Well, just on that topic, the current season, there was a new article that came out from Tufts talking about 63% of the hospitalizations could have been prevented by diet, which is shocking.
Wow.
I mean, that's incredible numbers. And so, yeah, the state of the health of this country and globally is really in a crisis, and you don't see it in the media that way, but the statistic is 88% of the population is metabolically unhealthy. That's almost 9 out of 10 people have at least some degree of high blood pressure, insulin resistance, inflammation, a large waist to hip ratio. I could go on, but 9 out of 10 people are struggling. And one of the things is you're right. Conventional medicine is awesome. It's life-saving, saved my daughter's life. But it oftentimes focuses on the immediate and forgets the preventative measures. And that's what is so important, especially for leaders, is making sure that this stuff doesn't come up in the future.
So I have a motto that I've lived by for years, because I've worked really hard on being physically healthy. And part of that motto is that I want to live as long as I can with as much energy as I can so that I can make a big enough difference as I can. So I know I'm talking to a bunch of leaders right now who are sitting there going, Aaron, yeah, I'm all about prioritizing my mental health and my relational health and even my spiritual health, but physical health, especially some of my pastors listening, they're not the healthiest people out there.
Yeah.
And there needs to be a fresh priority because really, I have found the healthier I eat, when I exercise, I have so much more energy to do what God's called me to do. And that's honestly what you're trying to help people do.
Yeah, and it stems into every area of your life, right? If you're exhausted and tired, not only are you not going to perform at work, but you can't go home and play with your kids. You're not going to feel like doing anything. And so you're absolutely correct. It has its roots in every aspect of life.
All right, so let's talk about the thing that nobody wants to hit on. Let's talk about food. All
Okay.
right, so this is kind of what you specialized in. Like, why is food important, and what should we be putting in our bodies?
Well, it's it's the building block, right? So everything stems from what you eat. There's a famous saying, you are what you eat. And I believe it. And the way that you feel comes from what you eat. So really, it comes down to a couple of things. And the biggest problems with our food system is we've come very far from just natural whole foods. Everything is either in a bag, a box, a can, comes through a drive-through window. It has gone so far from what our bodies are used to, meat, vegetables, and fruit. It's just not that anymore. It's processed. It's chemical laden. It's very, very blood sugar spiking. It's just a lot of processed goods. And so the majority of people's diet is no longer found in protein and healthy fats and fruits and vegetables. The majority of people's diets is convenience foods and processed foods.
Right.
And that, I would say, is the number one problem.
Okay, so it's very convenient. That's why we eat it. But honestly, it's also a little addicting. Why is it addicting?
Well, it acts on your brain, so it releases serotonin and dopamine. So it is addictive. I mean, it gives you pleasure in the brain, and so people come back, and then they often need more. And so it's not just a one-hit, two-hit kind of thing. It's like, oh, I need more and more and more and more. And so it's a very vicious cycle, and food addiction and sugar addiction is very real, and it's an addiction.
So how do we break this addiction?
Yeah. First, you got to nourish your body with real food. So my kind of principles are, number one is protein. That could solve the majority of nutrition problems that we have today. Is if people were eating enough high quality proteins, they wouldn't be hungry in between meals. They wouldn't have sugar cravings at night. There's a lot of things that come from just protein deficiency. So that's my number one.
All right, where do we find protein?
Chicken, beef, fish, eggs, nuts, and seeds. It's in plants as well. I believe in complete animal proteins being the best. But so that's going to be your first goal. And then the second.
Well, let me just stop right there on protein.
Okay.
All right. So where do you fall in can you just get chicken everywhere? What do you like? Because I'll buy a bag of chicken and then my friends are like, oh no, that's the wrong chicken.
I know. Oh yeah. You can get really nitpicky with this stuff. You can get into like grass-fed, farm or grass-finished, hormone-free and all that. And all that's great. But I think the majority of people really just need to eat real, just need to have chicken. Okay. I think if it's in your budget or if it's doable for you, absolutely get the hormone-free, grass-fed, free range. I could go on and on. Chicken.
I was at a place the other day and they're talking about how they massage the steak.
Oh,
and I'm
like,
how is that going to help? But I guess it does.
It does. It gets a little crazy, but that does make a significant difference. But for most people, it's just, you just really need to just get off the fake stuff and get some real, meat. And so that would be my number one thing. And then number two is we need to stop drinking our calories. Stop drinking sugar. There's sugar and high fructose corn syrup and everything. I watch people go through Starbucks and get, mocha, caramel latte, frappuccino things. And it's horrible. I mean, you're going to spend days trying to recoup your blood sugar from that.
If you look at the nutrition
it's
stuff,
scary.
It is frightening.
It's scary.
How much sugar.
And hundreds of grams in some of the Starbucks frappuccinos.
And just give me an idea, because I don't know nutrition stuff, but if there's 150 grams in a drink, how much should I be having in a day?
Well, as low as, the average American eats about 72 grams of sugar. Eats and drinks 72 grams of sugar a day, which is horrifying. We really should be.
So in one Starbucks drink, you're doubling that.
Easy.
For a
easy.
Day.
Yeah. Easy.
I hope somebody who's trying to get on a budget realizes it's not just for your budget; it's for your health.
It's for your blood sugar. Yeah. And the problem with all that is it adds up. It affects your blood sugar, which in turn affects insulin and inflammation. And those two are the primary drivers of all chronic disease, really. And so sugar is not just this harmless thing that causes weight gain. It really affects your chances of getting chronic disease long term. So I would say that as my kind of second tip is, after prioritizing protein, stop drinking sugar, stop drinking these things that give you no nutritional value and just pump you full of sugar.
It was about 6 years ago that I found myself super addicted to sweet tea and Dr. Pepper. I mean, that was just like my thing. Mm-hmm. And I made a New Year's resolution. I go, this year, I'm not going to drink a soda and drink sweet tea.
Yeah.
And I found that if I ever went to try back, I remember one time I had a sip of a root beer because it was like, a root beer float or something. And I remember my whole body just started to get weird.
It's called hyperglycemia.
Okay, so why does that happen?
It's the thing.
Yeah.
So essentially, drinking straight sugar, it's absorbed very, very quickly. Your blood sugar, which is supposed to be very stable, spikes. And what spikes with blood sugar is insulin. And insulin is our fat-storing hormone. So that's why sugar is so linked to weight gain. But yeah, so your blood sugar goes on this roller coaster. When you have low blood sugar and high blood sugar, you're either high is more shaky, kind of like a little little manic and can't get your thoughts together. Low is like depressed and like want to go to sleep and has to take a nap. And the blood sugar roller coaster is really, really, really bad. It is not good for chronic disease, and it's not good for just functioning as a human throughout the day.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
I stopped sodas 6 years in, haven't had a soda, which has been like a miracle in my life. But then a year after that, I was like, that was awesome. So then I stopped all sugar and coffee. Yeah. And it's a game changer, drinking black coffee. Mm-hmm. So it's just little steps like that where you're improving. So we get on protein. We stop drinking our calories. Mm-hmm. What else can we do to improve?
Stop snacking. So this is everyone thinks they need to eat all day throughout the day. You need a snack in between. That is so not natural for the human body. And you don't need, the whole myth of like, you need to stoke your metabolism is garbage. You don't need to, your metabolism is not a fire.
All right. So explain this, because everybody's like, no, you need 8 small meals a day.
Yeah, no, you do not. And you think too, if your meals are formulated well, you need 2 to 3 meals a day and you're just fine. The whole eat 8 meals a day is going to do nothing but continue to keep your blood sugar elevated and keep insulin elevated. Okay. So if you formulate your meals correctly, you get enough protein, you get enough non-starchy vegetables and healthy fat and maybe a little bit of carbohydrates at those meals. You shouldn't be hungry in between your meals. A good sign that you're not eating properly at your meals is being hungry in between them or being hungry at night. Yeah, that you're eating either too little protein, not enough vegetables. There's something wrong with that meal if you need to snack.
So even healthy snacking, you would say there's no such thing?
Well, there's such thing if you need it. So there are exceptions for athletes or CrossFitters or people who are expending excessive amounts of energy. Then yes, they probably should have snacking. But for your average person who's sitting at a desk, working in an office, doing normal activities, there's no reason that you should need a snack in between your meals.
So help somebody who's sitting at a desk. What's I don't even know if you have one, but an alternative. Like, what do you do to like help break the habit of snacking?
So I would start with herbal teas or coffee. Black coffee is great. Herbal tea is great. Carbonated water is helpful because it's got electrolytes. So sometimes people get hungry in between meals because they're actually dehydrated. So carbonated water, have some sodium, potassium, magnesium, and that can kind of quench that craving. So I would say start with that, or just distraction. A lot of times we snack because we think we're hungry and we really are just bored. And so get up and walk around the office, do something, stand up, go get in the sun for 5 or 10 minutes, and that can change the whole trajectory of the day. But that will help a lot with sugar cravings.
Okay.
Or snacking.
All right. So we're at 3. Anything else when it comes to...
Yeah, I would say my 4th kind of health principle would be everyone should be participating in at least a 12-hour fast, right? So this kind of goes back to the limited snacking. Everyone has a natural 6 to 8 hour fast when they sleep. I would say extend that. The normal person should be fasting at least 12 hours. And of course, that I'm talking about overnight. I'm not saying you should fast during the day, although that is a pretty healthy principle as well. But 12 hours at night, don't eat anything, drink water. You can have herbal tea or coffee, although we could go into sleep. But have a 12-hour fast. That will, number one, give your gut a rest, which we constantly eat. We're constantly digesting. We need to give it a break. And so that's a really, really good principle is mark your clock, give yourself 12 hours, and you can have your next meal 12 hours later.
Okay, so a 12-hour fast. So this is intermittent fasting?
Yeah, I mean, I would consider it time-restricted eating over intermittent fasting, but...
Tell me, is there a difference between the two?
Well, time-restricted eating has more of a time limit, whereas intermittent fasting could be longer. I would describe it that way. So more intermittent fasting would be like a 24-hour a week, but it's all kind of... intermittent fasting is the umbrella term.
Okay.
But yes, time-restricted eating. So I'm sure you've heard of 16-8. That's another.
No, I haven't.
Okay, so 16-8 is another way of time-restricted eating. It's very, very powerful for autoimmunity, for weight loss, for other things, where you essentially fast 16 hours and you give yourself an 8-hour eating window. So you would say 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. you could have your food, then you fast 16 hours. But that can be a really good way, especially for people that have like GI issues or struggling with weight loss. That can be an effective method. And it's relatively mild, so it's not going to cause any hormonal anything.
But eating a dinner at 4 o'clock, you're done at 4.
Yeah.
And then you're going to bed at 8 or 9 or 10.
Yeah, push it back. I would say push back. So that's just kind of what we do.
Sure.
But I would say either start at 10 or even start at 12.
Wow. Okay.
And then have it. Yep.
Okay. So you're not going to bed hungry.
No.
All right. So that's 4. Do you have a 5th one?
Sleep and stress.
Okay.
Yeah,
Explain.
it's not so much related to food, but a lot of people get really hung up on like diets and diet stuff, and then they forget to address stress and they forget to address sleep, both of which can cause weight gain and chronic disease. So I just wanted to bring that up so people don't leave that one out.
Yep.
Stress increases cortisol, which increases blood sugar, which increases insulin, which makes you gain belly fat essentially. So it's kind of a downhill slope, but chronic stress and a lack of sleep, and I can't remember the exact, I think it's around 6 hours, gives you the blood sugar levels of a pre-diabetic. One night. It's not even chronic lack of sleep. I know those of us that have babies are like, oh man, that's terrible. But so that's important. When your blood sugar levels are off, I mean, you're headed in the wrong direction immediately. Now that will recover with one good night of sleep. But I just want to say that because it really is important to consider sleep and stress when you're talking about your
What is a healthy
journey.
amount of sleep?
I would say 7 to 8 hours for most. Now, some people function great off of 6.5 and feel good.
Yeah, I'm an 8 hour night.
Yeah, same. But it's individual. Right. But the thing I would stress most about sleep is laying down in bed with your phone on is not going to set you up for a good quality night's rest, right? Because that inhibits melatonin production. So you're looking at this screen, this LED light, whether it's your phone or your iPad or your computer, and your melatonin and your circadian rhythms are already getting messed up. So while you may sleep and you may feel like you're getting a good night's sleep, you're probably not getting deep sleep. And so that would be my encouragement is practice good sleep hygiene. Put your phone down, turn it on night mode, put on blue light blocking glasses, as kind of woo-woo as those are, they work great. And that will help your natural circadian rhythm and help you get a better night's sleep.
Okay, let's recap those 5 because those are so huge. All right, so the first one is lots of protein.
Prioritize protein.
All right, so prioritize protein. So just give me an idea. The average male needs to eat how many grams of protein a day?
So yeah, I'll give you a whole plate because I think that would be easier. So if you look at your plate, use your hand. So the average male, make a fist.
Yep.
That's how much protein you should get at a meal. And then open your hand. That's how much vegetables. I would suggest non-starchy vegetables because somebody would be like, oh, I'm going to have French fries the size of my hand. So that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like leafy greens, cucumbers, bell peppers, and then a thumb of fat. So that could be like olive oil, salad dressing, etc. And then if you are active and need carbohydrates, I would say about a half a cup of carbohydrates per meal. And that's a relatively good plate method using your hand. And that's what you should have at your meals. Now, obviously, there's exceptions on either side, whether you're diabetic or you have, crossfitting. But that's a good way to prioritize protein as well as non-starchy vegetables.
And you're doing that plate 3 times a day?
Sometimes 2. Yeah, 2 to 3 times a day. I am a big advocate of listening to your body, so I will never be the dietitian that's like, no, you need to eat 6 times a day. Definitely not that. But if you're not hungry, I don't think you should force yourself to eat. And, a lot of people believe that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. It's really not. I mean, it can be if you're a breakfast person and you like that. That's fine. But, pushing meals back, even skipping meals occasionally, according to your body, is not... It's a good health practice of being mindful.
So where does the breakfast is the most important meal of the day come from?
Who knows? Honestly, there's so many myths. Well, the same thing with like Got Milk. Got Milk was such a huge advertising. I remember seeing it in my school, and now they've come out that all of it was kind of a sham. Like, there's not a lot of research promoting dairy. It's not that great.
When I go off of dairy, which I've done it a few different times with Whole30.
Yeah.
And when I go off of it, when I try to go back on, I feel sick.
There's some big red flags with dairy. I don't want to get you some nasty comments on YouTube, but dairy is pretty controversial.
Really?
Well, the cows are raised, there's a lot of hormones. I'm not against dairy. I think some people do fine with it, but there's a lot of autoimmunity. There's a lot of hypothyroidism. A lot of people just overeat it. Cheese is really easy to overeat, right? But there's hormones, the way that the cows are raised, we could go on and on, but a lot of people, every single one of my clients, I recommend just a 2-week trial. Go dairy-free and tell me you don't feel better. I've never had one person be like, no, I didn't feel anything.
That might be somebody's takeaway there. Just take 2 weeks.
Dairy, yep.
And there's something about, and again, I'm not a conspiracy theorist person, but this is fun and it makes for a good podcast. But the ploy towards, I want to be strong like so-and-so. I got to drink my milk. And childhood obesity is unbelievable.
It's horrible.
I go to a park and again, no shame, I'm not trying to shame parents in this, Because listen, I understand everybody's got their issues, but I go to a park and it is overwhelming how many children are dealing with major obesity issues.
Yeah.
Where does this come from? Like,
well, yeah, it's bad. And a lot of times too, it's less the parent. I mean, there's a lot of problems with our school food as well. I mean, they count, pizza as a vegetable because it has tomato sauce on it. And
there's no way.
I promise you. And so there's a lot of issues. One, the pandemic itself definitely didn't help. Kids are shut indoors, weren't playing outside. I mean, I forgot the statistic off of the top of my head, but it's really horrifying, the percentage of children coming out of the pandemic with significant weight problems, high blood pressure problems. And what people need to understand too is like your kids are going to eat what you eat. And so the best way to help a kid eat better is to change your own diet and get that stuff out of the house and not force them into like a diet because that's unhealthy just as much, but practice what you preach and eat healthy, and the kid's gonna eat the same thing. You're also buying the food. I am like I hate kids menus. I hate them because it's like fried chicken nuggets and for French fries, and it's like, how are we supposed to teach our kids if we are like, oh, you kid, you get this? But yeah, it stemmed from a lot of things. One, there are more women giving birth at unhealthier rates in terms of where they are, and so that can set the kid up for failure long term. But also the school food system, I could go on and on. Also, food marketing for children and people in general is outrageous. They make all these healthy claims, gluten-free, fat-free, all that stuff is just meant for you to buy it, and it's really a sugar bomb. I mean, think about cold cereal, right? It's just sugar. It's pure sugar. And so
I pulled up, so one of my favorite cereals growing up was Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Oh, man.
And I haven't eaten it in a long time. You'd be very proud. But I saw a box of it the other day, and on the front, it's like nutritious.
It's crazy.
Thing for, it's got all these vitamins packed with this vitamins and stuff. It's all fraud. I mean,
it's all fraud.
Because this stuff is pure sugar.
It's pure sugar.
I mean, it's amazing, but it's pure sugar.
And it's very addicting, and kids love it, and it tastes great, and it's convenient, but it's very manipulative on food companies' parts because they market to that, and they'll catch on a trend. Like if they know low fat is in, they'll make everything low fat, and it may not even. I mean, I am totally against low fat, but. Yeah, they'll catch on trends and then they'll slap a label on it and people think that it's healthy. Another thing that they do is they package stuff in like brown and green boxes and bags to like kind of make it feel organic-y and earthy. And so I could go on and on about it's manipulative and it's wrong and children are drawn to it. Go to the grocery store and look at what's at the kid's height. It's always stuff that kids are drawn to. So you're never going to see like an adult health food at a kid height. It's meant for them to bring it to mom and scream until it's put in the shopping cart. So yeah, it's and like I said earlier, 88% of the population is metabolically unhealthy. 88%, that's horrific statistics. And the statistics are only getting worse. So like you look at 2030 and 2050, I will always have a job. I have no, ultimate job security, but it's like it's really horrible because I could go on a big talk, but it's sad. It's sad, and people just don't know what to do.
All right, so you specialize in keto.
Mm-hmm. Okay, low carb keto.
Okay, explain in a few minutes, what is keto?
Yeah, so, and I know this might get you some comments just in itself, but the ketogenic diet and low carb diet is just taking away the processed carbs, really. And I'm not against carbs. I think apples and fruits and vegetables are wonderful. But I think the majority of the population has at least some degree of insulin resistance. And I think that was another one of my tips, and I don't want to leave without it. But knowing your numbers and what labs to ask for is critical because you can catch chronic disease and things headed south way quicker than what your doctor's catching it. If you ask for your fasted insulin is a great one, you can catch that 15 years before a diabetes diagnosis comes. So huge. I think everyone on this globe should know their fasted insulin. I think HSCRP for inflammation is another one that will catch things headed south. Those are the two primary drivers of disease. So if you just get your labs done, request that. Your doctor should have no issues. And if they do, tell them you're working with a dietitian and I'll help you out. Yeah. So know your numbers is another one of my tips because there's a lot of things that you can see before. It's almost like red flags and you can catch this stuff before it comes. But the reason I decided to go low carb keto is one, because it drastically changed my health. I was able to get pregnant from doing a low carb ketogenic diet because I had severe insulin resistance, even being an athlete. And I started using it there's this Verta Health is the name of the researching group that came to my hospital that I was working at. And they wanted me to enroll some of my veterans. So I enrolled about 60 of them, maybe 50. And they were getting off all diabetes medications. They were losing 60, 70, 80 pounds. And I thought to myself, like, this is crazy. Like, I had never seen these results. And so that's when I dove into this world of low carb keto. And I don't think it's right for everyone by any means. I think the vast majority can benefit from getting rid of processed carbs.
That's huge. Okay. So the person's driving in their car. They're on I-4. They're on I-75. They're somewhere right now. They're driving to work. They're listening to this and they're like, oh man, I hate. Give them the reward. What is the reward? Because you deal with so many clients that make, the sacrifice to go. Because honestly, it's a sacrifice to not go where it's convenient.
Yeah.
But there is fruit on the other side.
Yeah, tons of it.
If they focus on what we've talked about today, what do they get?
Well, one, you're going to feel better. Like, you're going to have more energy. Yeah. And I know people are like kind of rolling their eyes. Everyone says this. You're really going to have more energy. You're going to feel like a new person. And I work with people so often and they're like, Temple, I didn't even know I felt this bad. Yep. You're going to sleep better. You're going to stress less. Your relationships are going to be better because you can actually listen to people when they talk to you. You're not going to have the mental fatigue. You're going to feel better about your body. And I know I don't want to make this like a cosmetic thing, but like, not fitting in your clothes is not fun. No. Feeling heavy and not being able to breathe when you walk upstairs is not fun. And so, and then take it the next level, you're going to be able to see your grandchildren grow up. You're going to be able to pick up your grandchildren. Yep. You're going to have these things that are going to lead you to a long life with a good quality of life. And I think oftentimes, and so much when I was working in the hospital, I would get people too late. And not too late to the sense that they can't change anything, but it would take a massive event to shake them up enough that this stuff would matter.
Right.
And so my message is that if you care about it now, you could prevent that from even happening, but really, really live a high quality life for a long time.
And I think you can change before you have to change.
Yep.
Because once you get in the hospital, you have to change.
Yeah.
But if you can change now, honestly, we need you healthy and we need you thriving in the kingdom of God, and the church and your business and your kids and grandkids need you healthy. I think it's a really important conversation. Any last encouragement you have for people today of just as they deal with this issue and putting the right things in your body?
Yeah, I think just to know that you don't have to make this colossal change overnight. Right. I think it's all about finding one area of your life that could improve with diet and lifestyle and fixing it. Are you drinking 7 sodas a day? Okay, let's take it down to 2. Start there. Are you smoking? Let's quit that first. So it doesn't have to be this, like I said, colossal change. You just need to focus on moving forward with baby steps. And that's ultimately going to get you to where you want to be. And so it's small steps. And then don't be afraid to reach out. Like if you're completely lost and you've been diagnosed with something, or you really have no idea what to do or what to eat, get help from somebody that is professional and that can help you and come up with a plan to support you. But there's always hope. And I think that people can always make a change no matter, where they are in life.
I love seeing the stories on your social media. So many people's lives that have gotten changed by this. I'm a huge proponent of just putting the right things in your body. Yeah. I am a religious, I say that I'm not a pastor, but I am a advocate for physical exercise. But I've realized with physical exercise, it really matters very little how much I'm working out if I'm not putting the right stuff in my body. But when I combine the two, when I'm physically active and eating healthy, I see incredible results. So listen, how do people know more about what you do? Yeah. Or where do people go to get some resources off of this?
So I would say follow me on socials, Spotify, TikTok, Instagram. I'm at The Ketogenic Nutritionist on everything. But I would encourage you, if you want to dig a little bit deeper into some resources, read the books, The Obesity Code by Dr. Jason Fung. He's a nephrologist.
The Obesity Code, okay.
It's a great book. And then my all-time favorite book around this topic is called Why We Get Sick by Dr. Benjamin Bickman. Both of those in terms of health were complete game changers for me and really brought me out of a career that I wasn't super happy with and into one that I love. So,
well, I hope everybody's going to follow you on social media. Just in a few seconds, what do you do for your clients? So I coach both individual and group programs. I coach
individuals based on the complexity of their medical conditions.
Sure.
And then I have group programs for people that are just maybe looking to lose 20, 30, 40 pounds or have a high blood pressure diagnosis that they want to get rid of or get off medication. So just reach out. I've worked with anything and everything in terms of conditions. So I do offer both those options.
Temple, this has been fascinating to me because I think it's so important. I was at an event, I won't say where, preaching around America in the last few weeks. And I went to the event and I was with one of our guys on staff, and I looked around and said, most of the people around this room are severely obese.
75%.
Literally, I was looking around, and these are pastors.
Yeah.
And I'm going, they don't understand that
heartbreaking.
they're not going to make it to 65, 70,
Yeah.
75, 80. They're at least not going to be able to make it effectively.
Yeah,
And it's just because what we put in our body really matters.
it does.
So what a great conversation. I hope you're challenged to turn this around in 2022. The word that God gave me for the year is health. So let's be healthy this year, and let it start by what you're putting in your body. You know, we always say garbage in, garbage out. That's included for your mind, but it's also included for your body. So again, you can follow Temple at
the.ketogenic.nutritionist.
That's it. And hey, listen, make sure you like, subscribe. We got more episodes happening in the next little bit when it comes to health. Incredible, discussions on this topic, because we want you to be the best leader possible, because you are truly made for more. Thanks for sharing this, and I hope you have a great day.